Hello, this is Jenny Bell from Clarington, Ohio, and I'm listening to Barbecue Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate sushi or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show. We do Barbecue Central Show type things here on the show, which is report live, local, and late-breaking news as it's happening, of course. We also talk about other live fire activities and nonsense tomfoolery. Still to come on this show, Rusty Monson from Salt City Barbecue. We're going to be talking about the first 90 or so days in the barbecue vending trailer business. If I'm saying that correctly. Rusty has a barbecue business out of a trailer that he's been running for 90 days or so, and we get an update from there. The first segment that we did with Rusty, we did the run-up to opening. So we'll get the live, local, and late-breaking news from Rusty. And then, after Rusty, David Leans from Do Wellness will be joining us on the show, and we'll be talking to him about a couple topics, not the least of which is what? How to not be so fat anymore in 2022. He's going to help you, A, get lean and mean, 2, B, be there for you mentally to help you achieve those fitness goals, and C, show you how you can still eat live fire cooked food and still be healthy. I mean, look at me. I'm trim. I'm lean. I'm mean. I'm still cooking steaks and pork butts and ribs. I'm eating. I'm doing it all right. But if I got off my game, I would probably want to call somebody like David McDowell and say, hey, I need some help. He's going to help us. He's going to do it. All right, don't forget you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snappers / BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitch for a video feed. Also on YouTube / RD Rempe, where there does appear to be quite a active chat roll going as well. I see that on my little situation here off to the left-hand side. Even if I don't react to you, I'm seeing it all happen. Even from Facebook, it's coming in, and I especially can't react to that on Facebook. Also, you can listen on the Clubhouse app, audibly if you would like. For instance, a friend of show, Rush Schrader, is in right now. Look at Brian. And lastly, you can get an ad-free podcast feed through Patreon, which is patreon.com/BBQ Central Show, or through Apple Podcasts. If you use Apple Podcasts, you can do that right in the show on the no ad subscription banner or whatever the hell you call it. Or just get the podcast the way you've always gotten for the last whenever. 15 years? I've been doing it 15 years? Uh-oh. We're getting close, I can tell you that. February 8th of next year is an anniversary date. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, this coming Friday, episode 205, taking you back to January 29th, 2016. One of the most popular recurring topics over the past 5 years, 6 years, maybe 7 years or longer has been what? Dry aging steak at home. And I just think that the topic of dry aging captures interest. You bring up dry aging, people are inherently like, whoa, what do we know? Oh, does it smell like cheese? Is it funky? It's got mold on it. I'm not going to eat that. Well, how do I do that? Everybody loves talking about dry aging. Back in 2016, however, I had some guy by the name of Frank Rizzo on the show. The creator of something called the Steak Ager. Does anybody remember that? I'm sure John Solberg remembers that. But does anybody else remember the steak ager? This was a unit that takes all the guesswork out of doing any dry aging at home, does it in a safe environment, which is what one of the biggest concerns for most folks who are dry aging at home, or at least thinking about dry aging at home, which is doing it safely. A lot of folks will do some type of dry aging in their own refrigerator at home. That is really looked down upon because the meat can pick up all sorts of other refrigerator flavors and smells. So you want to have your own independent dry aging unit, and the Steak Ager does allow you to do that. There's other products out there now, but Steak Ager is one of those first original ones. So if you're interested in hearing more about it, be sure to check it out on Friday in the best of version. And yes, by the way, it is a company that is still in business. In fact, as I just mentioned, there are a few other dry aging home manufacturers available for potential purchase for you nowadays. So if that's something that you want to get in. Also, I might push you over to jesspriles.com and then search dry aging. She did an incredibly lengthy, in-depth article about dry aging and the safety of it and what you need to have to be successful and what's good and what's bad and all that. So I would recommend going and reading that document as well. And then if you're going to do it right, spend the money. Don't be typical American and go, I want the best. I don't want to pay for it. Get that free stuff out of here. Sometimes you got to bone out. What do we say in barbecue? What's the number one saying that we say? I'll wait. Go ahead. What's that you say? You got it. Buy the best and only cry once. Words to live by. In life in general, pretty much. Don't buy the dry aging bags. You know who uses dry aging bags? Bags use dry aging bags. Don't do that. Get a real standalone unit that will give you real dry aging results safely, effectively. But remember, you have to buy the subprimes, and then what do you have to do with dry aging? You got to wait. Who wants to do that? A minimum of 28 days, and I would say at least 45. At least. If I had my own dry ager at home, my subprimals would be going in for 60 days minimum. That's 2 months from when you start. That's a long time to wait. So if you're going to do it, hurry up, because every day you wait to start dry aging is another day longer you got to wait for that shit to get dry aged. Don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or segment again that has been on this show and perhaps lost in the archives, email John Solberg and let him know what you would like to hear. JON@thebbqcentralshow.com. Any details that you can give him specifically will make his job easier in bringing something to you, but what can I tell you? John Dawson weighing in on the dry age bit. Just buy it dry aged. Of course. But John, you know Americans, we love to do shit on our own. We love to brew our own beer in the basement. We love to go out into the woods and distillate our own distillations, a.k.a. liquor. We love to fix our own cars at home. We love to cook at home. We're going to dry age at home. Everybody wants to do stuff at home. We're going to beat our kids at home. You can pay to have somebody do that. No, we want to do that. That's a joke. Well, folks, I am happy to report to you, before we get to Rusty Mont, that crisis has been averted over the Thanksgiving week. Whew! Saturday night, my parents were up from Florida, took us out to a fine seafood restaurant on the west side of Cleveland, because as we all know, if you're from Cleveland, the west side is the best side. To a Pier W around 5:30 that evening. I let our cat Chewy out. He's a 50-50 cat. Perhaps he's even more 70-30. 70% outdoors, 30% inside. Inside mostly for sleeping during the day and eating, and then he's back outside. Saturday evening came and went. Sunday all day and night came and went. No Chewy. Well, it's snowing. It's also cold. All the girls were home from college, plus the one that just is here from high school. Freaking out starts to occur. Where's Chewy? Who let him out? Blame looks like it might start getting placed around here on me because I let him out. But why wouldn't I? I've let him out many times. And then my wife said, hey, well, by the way, I did a huge grid search in the pond area across the street, thinking I was going to be finding a dead cat. Thinking I was going to be finding a dead cat. Then I would be down to 3 cats, heading in the right direction. And I had given up hope, figuring at some point either a hawk took it or a boar ate it. And Bobby was relentless. Where's my cat? My wife said, just go start dragging the Facebook Lost Your Pet forums. 5 minutes later, she's like, I found Chewy. Found you. This lady's got him. I got in touch with the lady. We verified, cross-checked, and double whatevered. Made the 5-minute trip down the road. And wouldn't you know, alive and well.
Get that big stuff out of here.
And no, that's not the cat that pisses over everything. I mean, what's the difference? But thank goodness we found him alive. So happy. So happy. All right. Rusty Monson is geared up for another tremendous segment as I'm backing him up from last week. Before we get to him, I'll talk to you about Yukon Glory and the Yukon Glory Grill and Serve set. An absolute revolution when it comes to the landscape of grilling baskets, because I've always hated 2 things about using grilling baskets during my cook. 1, I have to wear some kind of heat-resistant glove to take the things off the cooker because they're hot. Number 2, it gets grease and oil all over my table or my counter or wherever I put it when I set it down to serve. Being someone who's known as a bit of a clean freak, that's not something I can really get down with. So what's a live fire cook to do? Enter a great product from Yukon Glory called the Grill and Serve set. Patented design fixes everything. The set includes 3 stainless steel grill baskets, which are moved by a clip-on handle that seamlessly grips from the interior of the basket for easy lifting and dropping. The set also has a large custom-fitted stainless steel serving tray to catch any drips and allows for a beautiful table presentation, but perhaps in my case, more importantly, gives you a clean table when everybody's done eating. Thank you, Yukon Glory. Now, what should you cook on them, and where can you get them? Glad you asked both questions. First things first, perfect for veggies, seafood, wings. Do you eat tacos? You can do them. Meats of all types. If you can think of it, you can cook on the Grill and Serve set with it. As far as where you can buy it, the normal haunts online. Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target. I recommend going to yukonglory.com, the exact website where they're made. Because you can get a 10% discount when you shop there. Use code 10Central, 10 Central all together. 10 Central, get you 10% off every order when you go there. Do your holiday shopping right now. Happy Hanukkah to all of my Jewish friends. Get over to yukonglory.com and get 10% off all of your Hanukkah ordering for all of your live fire friends. Do it right now. Follow them on the Facebooks and on the Instagrams at Yukon Glory. We're back with Rusty Monson right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories to complete the Pit Barrel cooking experience. Whether you're a beginner or professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the BBQ Central Show sent you. John Dawson, as always, getting into it with other chat members. My point wasn't about ability. It was about the tools, time, and pain in the ass involved Do you change your own motor oil? I did, but now I pay people to handle things that I'd rather not. John, I agree. And also, 100% of things I would rather not do is 100% of things. I'm not going to change my own oil, could I? Maybe. But I don't want to fuck it up, so I pay somebody to do that. Do I know how to change a light bulb? Maybe. But I don't want to fuck it up, so I pay somebody to do that. Maybe I'm kidding about that. Anyway, let's go ahead and race to the hotline where friend of show, Utah Embedded Correspondent, and Pitmaster of Salt City BBQ joins me on the show, Rusty Monson. Hey, Rusty.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Well, I'm certainly happy to have you aboard here for first interview segment in the second hour. Typically, we find you here with a cast of other ne'er-do-wells talking about what's happening in the live fire industry, but tonight we return to what is a quarterly-ish visit on Rusty's barbecue vending trailer experience. Last time we talked about the run-up, everything that you had to get in order to go to business, the ordering of meat, the costing, things that perhaps people don't even take into consideration, which leaves them many hurdles behind success. So hopefully we've given them a good runway to launch. But now we're any number of months into it. So looking back, or perhaps in the first conversation, as I mentioned, we talk about a lot of where to get to open. So tonight, let's talk about booking dates and events and other gigs. Once you really are ready to go, how do you do it? How do you leverage your warm contacts? How do you cold call and drum up these initial selling dates to get you off and running in a positive direction?
Well, that was one thing I was really worried about. In fact, that was the reason I almost took a partner on, because I was so worried about the logistics of it all and getting people to, getting venues, getting staying in places, getting catering gigs and stuff like that. Because when you look at the scenario, like so many like states and cities, maybe 10 years ago had 10, 20 food trucks. And now there's 150 to 200 in these big cities. And so it's a little bit scary. You're thinking, I'm starting a food truck. I'm competing with all these people. I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm going to have to beg, borrow, and steal to get into these venues and to get to these good parking spots. Turns out, if you're not in a big city like New York, LA, Atlanta, and all those stuff, and you're like in a city like Salt Lake City, it is so easy that I have never had to book a single thing by reaching out to anyone. They call me all the time. And it's one of the easiest things for me to do. I know that in Minneapolis and things like that, who have a really budding food truck scene right now, it's about parking and it's about who gets there first. It's the same in New York City. Those guys are even worse. They have to spend the night in their truck overnight to get a parking spot. So they have to park there, sleep in the truck, and wake up, prep, and get ready to go. So, but for us, we're very fortunate in this town because there are a lot of food trucks, but man, I'm surprised I didn't get like 4 calls today. Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? There's a lot. So it's not hard. That part's not hard.
Is your visibility because people know you around the area, or did you go on a website and post Salt City BBQ's barbecue vending and you're just available, and these people would scour those websites and say, what kind of a scene do we want to have today? Or we want to have or we want to have an eclectic bunch of different food trucks and trailers. How are they finding you?
Well, we did sign up, and a lot of people have this in their towns, but we have a food truck league here. So what we do is it's simple to sign up for most of them. You'll sign up. Sometimes you have to actually audition for them, and your food actually has to be good for them to allow you to come into their league or into their beer garden. But for us, we were able just to sign up. They take 10% off all of your sales, and that's kind of their payment. But they hook you up with lunches at certain businesses. They have their own hub, which they have several trucks that surround this little area where you can go sit down and eat and go to the bathroom and sit down and outside, inside, whatever you want to do. And they set you up with those. But for us, it was good to be on there because it's a good place for people to go if they want to get a certain kind of food, because all the food trucks are in one place. So instead of Google searching it, they can go to the Food Truck League and go through all the list of food trucks. And that's how I actually got some pretty big accounts like the USANA account. USANA is a big outside concert venue here, like the Foo Fighters play Kiss, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful, is to be there. But posting on social media is the number one way to go, and people just get to know you. And then I had a foot up because of my competition background, but it's really about just getting your name out there, letting people know you're there, what you do, and just allowing kind of everyone to come to you, really. But it's actually not too bad.
I have a whole digital hospitality question to ask you here in a second, but just tying a bow up here into getting your name out there. As you show up to these venues the first time, is it a quick gauge on your part to say, well, maybe today was a crappy day, but there's a vibe here where if it was just a little bit sunnier, or the weather was just a little bit better, or if there was something going on a little bit cooler down the street, you would see a much better return for setting up, and you would mark that one down as a place to go again, versus somewhere where you can go and say, today's a loser, and I know every other time I'm going to get here is going to be a loser. Is it easy to tell what can be good and bad?
Yeah, some of them you just know because you park out in the middle of their business, and regardless of what it is, it's just kind of slow. You never really know, so we kind of take what we can get right now. But it's like barbecue. You want to take you want to write down how you cooked your meat and how it turned out. It's the same thing. We write down where we went, how much we sold, how many people showed up, and so we know if we ever go back what to cook. And we do take into consideration the weather, which in Utah, as you know, it snows there in Cleveland. So you have to be able to know, and you can't just judge it based off of one, snowy day and no one came, because in the summertime, it might be a really good spot. That's the hardest part about it, man, is just knowing all those elements and preparing for it and trying not to overcook, but not undercooking, and just keeping tabs on stuff and try and go back to the same spots if you can that work well, and just kind of vetting those things. That's kind of the challenge right now.
So I think that's where my biggest trying to get my head around this stuff. When somebody asks me, well, why wouldn't you go into opening a barbecue restaurant, or why wouldn't you do some kind of catering? My first thought, because of where I am, is, well, 7 months out of the year, the weather really blows, and 3 months out of the year, it's really good. And then there's like a 2 month, maybe sweet spot, maybe a little bit in the spring, maybe a little bit in the fall when the weather's just dynamite. But it's the longer, colder time that would really freak me out. As you are looking at doing this through the year, are you looking at where you're setting up outside, but most of these people are just inside venues? It's a restaurant doing a pop-up, or it's an inside food truck hall thing. How is that working out?
Right now, it's a lot of businesses, because if you think about it, the cold actually kind of helps that. Because in the summertime, it's easy to hop in your car and with your friends and head, 4 or 5 miles down the street and get some food. But when it's cold, if you can just duck right outside, grab some food and run back in, that's really beneficial. So we're getting a ton of businesses lunches. That's kind of the big thing right now. And also we're getting a lot of hotels calling, saying if we could park our truck outside to do that. Because again, if you're in a hotel situation, you don't want to have to run out in the cold and get food when you can just run right outside and grab it. So there's certain ways and certain things that are actually getting more business, that might go away or not be as good in the summertime. So I thought December would be slow, work on the truck, work on some stuff, but it hasn't. We had one yesterday. We have one tomorrow. We have a huge one on Saturday. Just keeps trucking. I had to turn one down today and on Thursday. So
what have you game planned for as you originally started to roll out that you've found that you've had to face, and because you were ready to have a plan in action, if it appeared, you were able to resolve it pretty quickly?
Well, speaking of USANA, that's a huge concert venue. 18,000 people. I think it's 20,000 people that go to these. And so COVID happened. So they're calling out for food trucks to come and help out because they can't staff. So what we kind of did was step in, and we're inside the venue itself, and we kind of are offsetting that labor shortage so that they have something to eat. So they're kind of diverting their way from theirs and kind of coming to us. We do pay them a percentage. So randomly, we got an email from a guy who said he does that and he wants a barbecue place there. And we're saying, cool, let's do it. And I'm like, man, if this turns out to be something, this is going to be huge. So we're all pumped. And so I have this old truck that I bought, we were to do this, to pull the truck. And we had to actually drop the trailer off in USANA. So we had all that set up. And I'm driving back to go to Cisco to get some food. And my truck breaks down off the side of the road.
Oh.
And it won't start. And so we're waiting. We're doing that thing where do we want to get the wife out because she's helping me on the truck that night. I'm a couple blocks from where I need to get the food from. And the truck's not starting. We wait. 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in. I'm like, you know what? Let's just call this. So I call a tow truck. My wife comes and gets all the food. She comes and picks me up. We go to the venue, and we're so badly wanting to impress these people, and they're really anxious, and we're already an hour late. Now, the concert hasn't started yet. So we go and get food, and we're sitting there. We're so nervous. We're getting everything ready, and we go to open it, and my wife's like, where's the cash register? I'm like, oh, my God, it's at home. We left it at home. It's like a 30-minute drive.
You had to bring your own?
My wife goes, oh, our own cat. Well, we're in our food truck.
Oh,
so we pull the food truck into the venue itself.
Yeah.
So my wife hightails it back home. She's doing crazy speed. She gets there. I tell her, I say, babe, grab the cooler. The one that I showed you has the coleslaw in it. We need that too because we forgot coleslaw.
Wow.
Which is, we put coleslaw on everything. So she races back. We get everything set up. We turn it on, and there's an update for our machine. So we have to wait and for that to update. Meanwhile, we're waiting. We have about 10 minutes before open time, and it's updating. I go to get the coleslaw out to make it. I open it. It's the ribs. She got the wrong cooler.
Oh, no.
So we call a nanny who we had just hired that week, and this is her first gig with us. And we tell her, hey, we need this coleslaw right now. So she throws my kids. We have no car seats. I have, a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. She throws them in her little Kia. They're holding this huge cooler, trucking it to USANA. She gets there. We have to go out. They won't let us leave. She can't come in. The concert's about to start. Jonas Brothers has this thing where you have to get COVID tested.
Yeah.
So my other cook can't get in because he can't find where to get tested at.
Wow.
So he hasn't even showed up yet. We're getting that. We drag it in. We finally get it. We open it up, and we have forgot the stuff to put the food in. So we're about 40 minutes late now. The concert is going. People are running around. We're 40 minutes late. We're trying to get the biggest account we can think of, and we're blowing it, man. And I have to call this guy, Matt. I'm like, Matt, listen, dude, I know you hate my guts right now, but we have nothing to serve food in. So he brings over these huge donut boxes. I'm talking if you get a dozen donuts, he's like, I got these. That's all I got. So we're serving barbecue in donut boxes, and our poor little nanny runs back, grabs the original, comes back, and we finally get going. And it was just, we had to keep on trucking. And people ask me what it's like to be in a barbecue trailer or food truck. And I tell them that story because, man, you learn lessons the hard way, and it's the only way you learn them. There's never, ever a time where you're just like, oh, cool, right on. Okay.
That worked out.
That. That's all right. that was a bump. No, man, it's epic every single time. And we went to a huge festival, and my water decided to stop working. And for the first time ever, the health department decided to show up that day. We've never had a health department inspection except for the day my water stopped working. Man, I can go on and on and on, but that we ended up getting the USANA account, and we've been doing USANA concerts ever since. And they want to have us back next year, even though they plan to be okay with staffing. So that worked out. It worked out great. So, but it was just super crappy to have that happen. And it was like, I literally turned to my wife. I'm like, I'm going to cry right now. She goes, I am going to cry too. And I'm like, yeah, what are we doing, man?
So was that?
So yeah,
that one is the biggest toe stub so far.
And then doing the big Tomato Day festival. We have a big Tomato Days festival here, and having the health department show up when our water not working. And having friends there because it was a barbecue competition, and all my barbecue friends are coming over trying to help me out, and we're pleading with the guy, and my friend Kurt, who's competing in the contest, he's like, I got this thing. No, I'm not joking, bro. He brought a portable sink to the competition, like stainless steel, could go into a restaurant sink. I'm like, Kurt, what the hell are you bringing a sink for? So I'll bring it right over. So we're able to stay open. And thank God my barbecue friends were there having a backyard competition, or he would have shut me down that day. And it's just those things, man. I'm telling you, my water will never break until the health department shows up. And it's those hard lessons you learn hard every single time. And it's the passion that gets you through, because people ask me all the time, what does it take to do this? I'm like, it's passion. If you don't have it, those stories I just told you are going to end your day.
Yeah.
And they're going to end your truck because you're not going to persevere through them. and you're not going to have the passion to figure it out. And you're not going to have the passion because we could look back on those days. And my very first day was the most crazy 3 days of my whole life. And now I have an event tomorrow and I'm like, show up at 9. We'll roll over to the commissary. We'll throw everything on. We're out. And the first day was just chaos and yelling and stress and tears and mess ups. And it's just, you have to persevere through it. And if you don't have the passion, you won't last. This is the bottom line.
Let's talk about financial success where you're at now. So I assume as you are getting ready to launch, we had talked about the last time costing and making sure you're doing that right and accounting for every freaking thing, because when you don't, those are the things that wind up spooling up and biting you in the ass in the long run. So as you look through, those first 60, 90 days from expense output to bringing money back in, are you even? Are you profitable? Are you more than profitable? Where are you at right now? And are you meeting your expectation in that regard?
They say if you're living, every time you go to an event, if you have to pay as much money as you have in your bank account, or you're stressing, you're not doing well. And we're not doing that. So that's success. A big shout out to Jared Swift, by the way. He's my boy. He's all this stuff I've been telling you. He's a huge help. He's the guy who's got me through all this. He's on here right now. So just listening. Want to give my brother a shout out. But I say that if I didn't, so the thing is that people tell you you're not going to be profitable for 2 years. And I didn't really understand why. And I know now, because every time, for example, my fridge just broke. So I have to get a new fridge. I have to do certain things. I want to upgrade. So I'm throwing money back into the business. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to upgrade the trailer. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to, you do a lot of different things that you want to try with menus. So you're, trying that and, different things. So if I didn't have to do all that and that stuff was already just done and my trailer was where I needed it to be, and I didn't have to go buy a new truck and all that stuff, I would be actually doing really, really well right now. But you take that money, you're able to throw it back into the business. I don't pay myself yet. So that's kind of the rub. But I can see it being extremely profitable. We are taking it easy by design. And so next year we're not. We're going to be balls to the wall. So I'm hoping to be very profitable in the next year. But right now, I wouldn't say we're profitable, but we're not. We have money. I can things that come at me, I'm able to pay for. I'm able to take care of the things I need to take care of. I'm able to buy food and supplies for the next gig and all that. So I would say we're successful, not profitable.
First quarter next year, what's the goal at this point?
So we're looking to make $500,000 next year. So that quarter, we're hoping, right around what's quarter of that? 150,000, something like that every quarter. And that's going to be pushing a lot of events every day and staffing and things like that. And that's the challenging part right now. A lot of people don't work. I'm feeling that. And in the daytime, it's hard to find people. Nighttime, it's not so hard. It's funny. It's this weird thing of everyone wants to come work on your food truck, but they can't until 6. But I'm like, I have a lunch gig. So you have to hire someone to come do that. And so once we get that rolling and I'm someone I can rely on in the daytime to really help me out, we're going to really hit it hard. We're looking to do about 150,000 to 200,000 I would say 100,000 the first, 150 the second.
He is knocking it out of the park right now. He is still above water, even after the regaling of that incredible story in the concert venue. Unbelievable. A lot of people in the instant chat are like, oh my goodness, this is the best story they've ever heard. And both a scary and, of course, positive thing as we ended out here. So anything you'd like to promote or a place you would like to send people to before I let you go tonight?
Just if you're in Utah, check us out. Come out and hang out. We are really ramping up in December. Also, if you guys are listening to this, Pitmaster Podcast, check it out. And that's about all the plugs I would have for here. SaltCityBBQ.co is the website if you want to check it out online. This is Rusty Monson. You also see him monthly in the Embedded Correspondence. Rusty, always appreciate the time. Great info, and we'll talk to you soon. Awesome. Thanks, man. There he is. Rusty Monson. Backing it up from last week, which I certainly appreciate. All right, we are getting ready to talk. Okay, what happened? Let's try it again. There we go. We're getting ready to talk to David McDowell. I see he's in the green room, but the camera's not working.
I'm sure we'll figure that out in the next 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll talk to you quickly about who? Green Mountain Grills. That's right, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. 2 different lines to choose from, a choice line, a prime line. What's the difference? Well, if you're somebody like me who doesn't necessarily need all the gadgetry, the Wi-Fi connectivity, the app use, internal meat probes, things like this, you want to save a couple $100, no problem. Choice lines for you. It's a Daniel Boone. Big enough. Not huge, but big enough to accommodate most families. You can cook a lot of food on that thing. Plus, pizza oven insert accessible, no doubt about it. Now, if you want to spend a couple extra $100, if you want more of a robust build on the chassis, peek-in windows on the main cooking chamber and cooking hopper, 2 internal meat probes. This one has Wi-Fi. This one you can work with an app if you want and do all sorts of cool stuff. Then the prime. So you have a peak and a ledge to choose from. Those also accommodate the pizza oven insert. So if you like high-heat pizza grilling, pizza parties, get the pizza oven insert. Choice or prime line, you do get the pizza oven insert. And then if you're looking for something portable, the Trek is the one you want to check out. Fits in the back of trucks and vans and SUVs. Goes to all your football games, baseball games, basketball games, wherever you want to go and take a wood-fired pellet grill with you. The Trek is the one. GreenMountainGrills.com, only sold through dealers. Find one near you by visiting GreenMountainGrills.com. And then go to the dealer, check them out, get educated by the one that's right for you, and away you go. You will have success right off the bat. GreenMountainGrills.com. The website also has a lot of other accessories to complete the Green Mountain Grill cooking experience. That's GreenMountainGrill.com, GreenMountainGrills.com. We are back with David McDowell right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The BBQ Central Show. Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. Head on over to smithfield.com and get tips and recipes from world champ pitmasters like Chris Lilly, Darren Worth, Ernest Cervantes, Charles Cridlin. Mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield Fresh Pork is quite simply the finest pork money can buy. Trusted choice of world champion pitmasters for use at competitions and at home. I use it all the time. Love it. Smithfield.com is the place to go, and they have signed on for next year already, believe it or not. How about that? Helping me close the show tonight, someone who might be able to help you close the gap on achieving your weight loss goals and overall health goals for 2020, by the way. He is a huge live fire fan and cook, and he is here to tell us all about how we don't have to give that part of our diet up in the process of getting right. So let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome first timer to the show, the owner of Do Wellness, David McDowell, joins me here on the show. Hey, David.
Hey, Greg. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you for joining me this evening. Very happy to have you.
Wonderful.
So before we get into all sorts of healthiness and how you're going to help anybody that's interested make sure that they are on their health game for 2020, because as we all know, 2021 rapidly coming to a close. Quick background on yourself, both personally, professionally, and then we can get into a little live fire talk and go into the health from there.
Sure. So I'm a civil engineer by trade, and long story short, when I entered the workforce, I realized that a lot of guys that work for a living really could take care of their diet better. I had a little bit of like a lot of guys. I think I was active in sports as a kid, and then continued in college, and I just had an interest in health and fitness for a while there, and I didn't really get a chance to taper off when I just determined that people need help after college and I entered the workforce. So really what I want to do is help guys that, are providing for their families, lose the weight that they suddenly, in most cases, woke up with overnight because they've been focusing on other goals rather than taking care of their bodies.
David McDowell joining me here on the show. The website, by the way, if you want to take advantage of the Cyber Monday week sale, is David Leans, Leans, davidleans.com/BBQ, and you can get hooked up with that special deal that will run through the week. So as you are working through all of this, what does a civil engineer do? You build dams and stuff like that?
Some of us do. There's civil engineering pertains to a lot of stuff. What I do specifically is called site development, and that's typically taking one parcel of land and turning it into a different use. So taking something that's maybe a commercial space and turning it into something for for people to live on, or something like that. Where I live on the East Coast, it's very densely populated. So generally, if they're not using fresh ground, we're not installing new utilities, so we're untangling the mess of utilities underneath the ground, putting new ones in, and there's a whole bunch of crap that comes with it. So that's why I have a job.
Have you always been a live fire fan, or is that something that you picked up an affinity for later in life, like after you get out of college?
Well, yeah, I picked that up after I might have actually been in college, but I was living with my then girlfriend. We've since been married. Should have been a tip, but we were leaving a tailgate a few years into our relationship, and the first year that we had lived together. That's what it was. And we were leaving a tailgate, and that we saw a sad, abandoned Weber grill sitting out there, and I said, "Babe, we're taking that home." And luckily, she agreed. We threw it in the trunk, and I burned food for about a year on that thing, and she sucked it up, and we made it through because I eventually learned a thing or two. And long story short, now I've got the larger version of that same grill. I've got an offset smoker, and I've got a flat top griddle, and I grill every chance I get.
So this is a magical time of year. As I had mentioned in the open, we realize that perhaps we've been a little bit unhealthy, whether it's been through the course of the year, or as you had mentioned, it seems like we get out of college and maybe we were active. I remember my senior year in college, I've been a fairly puny guy for most of my life. Like through high school, I think I graduated high school at 155 pounds soaking wet. Could maybe do 135 pound once or twice before the shakes started hitting. And then got into college, and that last year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pack it on. Me and my buddy, we hit the gym 6 times a week, cardio 7 times a week, was eating all the time. I went from 155 pounds to 195 pounds. I went from benching 135 to benching 285. It was great. And then I graduated, and then it all went downhill. A lot of the mass went away. A lot of the strength went away. I mean, I never got fat, but I definitely woke up in that thing, like you said, and magically overnight. But it's over years, right? So whether it's been a bad year or whether it has been a number of years that you've been stringing together, the end of the year is always like, we're going to take stock. And maybe I got kids or a wife, and I know I need to be more health conscious, and I need to be more health responsible. But for the vast majority of us, the year turns, maybe you're into something. Maybe it's a P90X or something. There's not really any accountability except to yourself, and you've proven over the years you're not really accountable when you're going to be doing this, and you fail, and then you feel like shit, and then you don't do anything for 9 months until we get to the end of that year you're in, and you're going to do it all over again. So how can we utilize the do wellness and the davidleans.com to our advantage? And why does somebody look at going, well, they might say, oh, $2,400 or $2,600, that seems really steep. But I think when you look at it from a different perspective, which you can help us kind of realize that return on investment, it's something you really might want to check out. And what do we get from it?
Yeah, so all that was pretty much on par with what a lot of guys experience. It sounded like you were doing, your heaviest hitting right around when it was most ideal for any young man to do so. So your body is hyper responsive. Your body's like, yes, your testosterone, give me the exercise, give me the work, give me all of it. Let me give you the fruit of your labor in your physique and in your your general overall health. And 10 years will go by, 15 years will go by, and you'll taper off, like you said. And it's I think the funny thing is, or maybe the point that we can point out there is that being terrible or being great doesn't mean you need to be that way all the time. It's being good or bad consistently over a long time. So that's something that we can point out there. And when you have trouble being good consistently, the best thing you can do is have somebody hold you accountable. That's why you would hire somebody like me. And you don't even have to hire me. I encourage all, and I don't just say this to men, but I feel that men are underrepresented in the space as far as health is concerned. When you have somebody that you have told that you're going to be accountable towards, whether it's your spouse or your kids or your boss, when you tell somebody your goal, whether you're going to run a 5K or it doesn't even have to be health, whether you have a goal of becoming a better painter, whatever it is, you need to have somebody hold you accountable, whether and that's especially for goals that you're struggling to achieve. So when I'm talking to the guys that are 35, 40, 45, honestly, I don't care if you're younger than me. It's if you struggled for any reason, what you can do first and foremost is find somebody that will hold you accountable and not pat you on the back and say, you know what, you'll get them next time, Tiger. That's an epidemic. You can't have that. People have been getting participation trophies for too long. So when you hire yourself a coach, again, it doesn't need to be me. You get that accountability, and a good coach like me will give you the feedback whenever you need it. So there are going to be coaches out there if you go looking. It's not hard to find people that are going to charge you $400, $450 a month. I see that for maybe one check in a month and one meal plan that's very rigid. When you work with me, you get as many as you want. Typically, I'll start you off with one every other week, one meal plan every other week. And if you so choose, we can do an exercise regimen. But when you hire me, I'm going to be on my phone, on my Zoom, on my WhatsApp, whatever you need, whatever's easiest for you to communicate. I'm there for you. Almost always. The nature of my job is such that I'm usually at the computer. Sometimes I'll be in a meeting, but most times, ask any of my clients, I'm right there to answer your question. Most times I'll get a photograph of the menu at the restaurant and say, hey, David, what here can I eat? What should I eat? And I'll stick a screenshot circle, say, eat this one. We can talk about it later. Like it's that fluid. And that's something I want to drive home to whoever chooses me to help them lose weight. I'm there for you 24/7 effectively. You can call me in the middle of the night. I'm there for you. You paid me. Get your money's worth. I want you to succeed. My goal for you is to not have another year. I hope you're done with me. I hope I teach you the things that you need to learn so that you're off my payroll. I don't want your money forever. You know what I mean? So it's important to me, and it's something that's I realized it when I entered the workspace. A lot of hardworking men just forgot about how to take care of their bodies, or just got into a bad groove. And overcoming bad habits is, well, I don't tell you about that. That's hard. So that's why you need to hire a coach like me, like David McDowell.
David McDowell joining me here on the show. davidleans.com/BBQ if you want to take advantage of the Cyber Monday week sale that's going on this week. Now, for the folks that are just listening on podcasts, they can't see you. I mean, it would be a little weird to have David on the show, and he's kind of fat as well and out of shape, but he's going to be the guy that motivates you. But if you go back and listen or watch the replay, I mean, David's obviously very well put together. You can see those deltoids peeking out. I mean, you're pretty ripped up. So are guys mostly looking for, I want meal plans and recipes and what could I eat, or are they looking for, I want to know how to work out so I can start to shred up a little bit, or maybe in my case try and put a little bit of mass on? What are you finding as you're talking to these guys?
I'm finding most frequently guys want to know first and foremost. They want to know both. I don't think there's a disparity between wanting to know about diet versus wanting to know about working out. But the enthusiasm is always more about working out. And I will tell everybody till I'm blue in the face. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to tell more people right now. You cannot outwork a shitty diet. You can't do it. I'm sorry. If you're eating bonbons and Cheerios and Oreos and getting McDoubles and slamming IPAs, you're goddamn. It's I don't need to get into the example, but running a 5K every so often is not going to undo it. And like I said, being great is being good consistently. Being shitty is being bad consistently. So if you fall into this trap of thinking that you can out exercise, CrossFit or whatever it is you're doing to kick your own ass. Kicking your own ass is great from a health perspective if you're doing it safely, but the health benefits very rarely, unless you are Michael goddamn Phelps. And let me tell you, you're not Michael goddamn Phelps.
Yeah.
You're not going to outwork that shit diet. So guys are always wanting to know about how to work out, but I'm actually working on a course right now that I hope is going to be done by the end of March this coming year that has 2 courses, first of which is diet. Only then can you access the second course, which is about exercise. So I'm happy to share information about both, but if I drive home one thing, it's you got to get the diet straight.
Everybody wants 6-pack abs. How attainable is 6-pack abs? And what are like the 2 or 3 main contributing factors to achieving 6-pack abs? And then how quickly can you lose them?
It's easy. I can tell you can lose a 6-pack in about an hour. It's not hard to do. Gaining it, depending upon how far you are from it, the number one thing, like it starts with diet. That's kind of a broad, expression, but more filling foods, more fibrous foods, more protein. Thank God we're on a barbecue show. That's what I tell my clients to eat. It's a hell of a lot of chicken and turkey, but believe me, there's steak. You need to eat steak. It's good for your soul.
Yeah.
But it's. I'm sorry, I've gotten off track there. Where were we going?
We were talking about 6-pack abs.
Yeah, of course. How could I forget? It's really just diet and water retention. So that can come down to salt and how much salt you've had the past day, the past week, things like that. So a dryness can kind of come and then allow your muscles to pop more in the stomach area, but you got just some kind of resistance work. If your abs aren't popping, it could be because of the way that your body's just put together. A lot of people will forever have a flat stomach when they're very fit, and they will never have the kind of rocky kind of I guess what people think of when they think of a 6-pack. But lots of people are put together lots of different ways, and you can't guarantee that you're going to have the type of body when you're done from a very muscle insertion standpoint that you would expect. You'll look better, I promise you. It's worth discovering how good you'll look.
This is what you need to do. You need to go to davidleans.com right now and check it all out, and then take advantage of the special deal that's going on for the barbecue folks. So that's davidleans.com/BBQ. And you can see that David is a good guy right here. He's going to be available for you. And I think these are the things that are separating, as he had mentioned, from a lot of the other personal coaches that are going to be out there that are, interested in maybe trying to help you, but they're also interested in padding the wallet. Here, David is looking to put together some plans for you specifically. And then you have, this is like what we talk about with mental health. This is great, but you want to focus on yourself. Yes. And then if you start to lean left or right, you need somebody to talk to make sure that you're back on the straight and narrow and that you're achieving your goals. And this is really what you're paying for, is the access. And if you don't have access when you need it the most, then what good is it? Then it's not good at all. So this is, from what I've come to find out, is one of the major differences in what David is offering versus everybody else. David, anything else you would like to talk about here before I let you go tonight?
Just that if you feel like you've tried before, it's worth trying again. Hire a professional. You get what you paid for. somebody like me doesn't have to be me. And if you don't do that, at least go to Amazon and download my book. It's called Follow the Rules. It's $9.99. If you send me a message or Greg a message, I can get it to you for free. It's called Follow the Rules. I'll give you the full title. The Guide to Fat Loss Without Changing the Menu. I go over 5 rules in the book, and it's a very short book, fewer than 60 pages. 5 things that you can change about the way that you eat that will allow you to lose weight without changing what you're eating. So give that some thought, and I look forward to getting the chance to talk to you again, Greg.
David, appreciate the time, appreciate the sponsorship of the show, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Take care, Greg. Thank you.
There he is. David McDowell. Do wellness. Again, davidleans.com/BBQ is the website to go to and check out the deal that you're getting. Again, this is why you're paying, right? You want somebody to hold you accountable, and then when the chips are down, you need somebody that's going to be available to help you get through it, to help you get back on the right track. This is what's separating David from everybody else out there right now. We thank him for being on the show tonight as a guest and for being the newest sponsor to the show. Once again, the website, David Leans, Leans. It's also in the newsletter, davidleans.com/BBQ, and take advantage of that deal. Also, give him a follow on Instagram, at Earls, EARLS, at Earls Cookout. And he's a live fire brother. Come on. This guy's eating grilled food all the time, he says. Let me talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers before we run out of here tonight. The one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has become Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. They have the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in the backyard. 13 perfectly balanced flavors, if you're counting. Also, owners of Granny's Barbecue Sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everybody? Why not try Granny's? And they're selling cookers, of course. Mac 2-star General Pellet Cookers, because they are the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages on the internet. Not a fan of pellet smokers? Try the Old Hickory Ace BP. Big Papa's keeps one on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what grill you need, call them and ask questions, 877-828-0727, or shop the website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And this portion being brought to you by Vortic Watch Company, a small batch custom watch manufacturing and vintage restoration company located in northern Colorado. They take antique American pocket watches and turn them into wrist watches, just like this one. Their mission, preserve and enhance the legacy of manufacturing excellence in America. In order to do that, they combine traditional and cutting-edge technology to create unique quality functional timepieces with exceptional value. And here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind. Vortic, founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out VorticWatches.com for more info. All right, let's go ahead and make tracks out of here. All the way back in the first hour, we did a dope segment with Leanne Whippen. Pigpowder.com is her website right now. They're working on Leanne Whippen, BBQ.com. That should be up here by the end of the year or turn of the beginning of the year. Second hour, Rusty Monson recapping us, or updating us, I should say, on his food trailer and the pitfalls he has run into since being opened and the successes that he has had as well. And we'll talk to him again in about 3 months from now to get the latest update. I thank him for backing up his last interview with the Embedded Correspondents last week. Also, we close it out with David McDowell, looking to bring health to you next year in 2022. Hire him as your fitness coach for next year. Special pricing and deal for the Centralites. davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ. Take advantage of that special offer if you're looking to make a change in 2022. He will do it. Big show planned for you next week. Malcolm Reed is in. Sam the Cooking Guy is in, plus more. So how do I leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Dion Blumenrader with Big Hoss One Sauce, and you're listening to the best show on all things barbecue with my man, Greg Rempe.